Hello and welcome to West Underground. Today we have a very exciting interview for you guys, and I'm going to start this one off a little bit differently and say, please subscribe. I think I'm doing this right. If I point on this side, hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, then just subscribe anyway. But today we're here with none other than 51st Avenue, and I just want to, give you guys the mic and throw the question to you. How did you guys start your band, and what's the backstory?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty long backstory, but happy to take you down our little journey. So it started with a three-piece, so Ali, myself, and our old guitarist Corey. So we had drums, vocals, and guitar.
Yep.
And then we released our first EP, and we started to look for a bassist. So, as most people do, we put up on Facebook, and we had a whole bunch of auditions lined up. And in fact, on that day, all of our bass players started to drop out. So one by one, there was just some, oh, sorry, I can't make it. Oh, this, that. So we're like, damn, we're not going to get anyone. And then we had Josh, who is our bassist now, message being like, oh, my girlfriend has the car. And we're like, oh, this is it. We're not going to find anyone.
Yeah.
And then he sent back a message a little bit later being like, I'm just getting an Uber there. I'll be there, but I'm just going to be a little bit later. And I remember saying to you guys, like, you know what? This is the guy. Like, this is it. Because he's made the effort, even though everyone else, like someone said they didn't have fuel. Someone else said they didn't have a car. And we're like, you know what? This guy's putting in the effort. Let's just keep him. And honestly, yeah, been such a great addition. And then we had Josh. And then, last COVID, Corey, our old guitarist, decided, he wanted to part ways and just focus on some other things. And then we went through the same process and happy to find Ash. And here we are now, our little four-piece doing what we do.
Yay!
Nice. But how did you guys originally find each other?
Yes. Yep. We're all the way back to high school.
High school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is like Scott and our 10-year friendship anniversary, I think. Like 2011 we met at our high school, and we've been besties ever since. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. How old is everybody here? Yeah, I thought everybody was, when you said 10 years, I thought you guys were like all young.
No.
Oh, well,
we try to live young.
Well, you're all aging. Yeah. Oh, well, so that's a huge thing. So
should we go like oldest to youngest then, and then we'll go?
All right. I'm 22, and how old's everybody else?
Oh, we'll go the other way then.
All right. Who's the oldest?
So I think it's next. I'm 26.
Yeah.
I'm also 26. I'm a few months older than Scott. Yeah.
I'm 26 as well.
Ah, cool.
In August.
Oh, perfect. And I'm actually 32.
No, you're not.
No?
No, you're 33.
33. Sorry, 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's living in the glory days.
That's it. But I feel 26 if it means anything.
Yes.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Josh, our bassist, is also 26. I think. Oh no, he's 27 now.
Yeah.
Is he? Yes. Yeah, he's older than me. So yeah.
Wow, this happened with Start Your Own Cult as well. Like we were speaking about them off air. Like halfway through that interview, I realized that they were older than they appear, and you guys have that same characteristic, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah, like and for like I thought the beards might have just been throwing you off a little bit, but like I still thought you were relatively, early 20s. So, take it as a compliment.
Thank you.
And what's been like the process of you guys writing music together? Has it been a difficult one? Has it been like, does it come easy for you?
It's very much a collaborative effort. So through lockdown, we've been sort of meeting up over Discord chat and then using a plugin called Audio Movers to kind of collaborate and write music together. We take a very programmatic way of actually writing music. So we come up with a whole bunch of reference tracks first, and then we sort of figure out what is the actual song that we're trying to write, and then we just assemble all the elements together, and then out the other side pops some sort of a song that we then sort of continue building on. So yeah.
Wow. I feel like that's a very, very, very smart way of doing it. And for everybody that we've interviewed, nobody else has had this process. So it's quite unique. But you guys are like, you seem like you're like the Tony Stark kind of character behind the engineering of this.
A little bit. That probably comes from my IT background. But yeah, Tony Stark, that's cool. I've never actually thought of it that way.
I dig it. Yeah.
New reference. And I think everyone is like kind of shocked when we tell them our process, because it's not really a usual way of doing it. Because like as I said, we get the reference tracks and we all sit in a room together. Like someone might come with an idea.
Yeah.
But we essentially, there's always all of us in the room working on the song. And it's usually in front of a computer. We don't tend to play it like most bands do. We don't go to a rehearsal studio and practice the song. We actually never do that, because a lot of our songs and ideas rely on our like electronics. So most of it for us is we'll come with like a guitar riff or something, and then we'll sit there on the computer and just smash through all of the layers and atmosphere that we can add to the song until, we're essentially finished with it.
So you guys aren't working with any sort of producer or anything?
Yes,
Yeah.
we work with a very good friend, Kaz Benson. We always go to him, and we just smash it out over, could be 2 hours, could be, 12 hours, just whatever we're feeling.
Yeah, wow. That, I think your process is quite unique. But for a second there, I thought, you guys would, because when I sit and have a listen to, your music, there's so much, kind of production elements, and my mind was going to be blown if it was just all you guys, and there wasn't, almost, another guy kind of adding the, the elements in. But do you find like what are you guys listening to become influenced and kind of go down that road of high production on your tracks?
I personally have listened. I personally listen to so many different genres in any given week that I couldn't pinpoint it. Like going back to when I really first started getting super interested in music, I was listening to quite a lot of rap, R&B, but then also quite a lot of metal. And I really loved the fusion of the two elements together. So bands like Linkin Park, and to a lesser extent, Limp Bizkit, was super interesting to me. And then, bring that forward into the current day and age where you've got bands like Bring Me the Horizon, which are very, very similar to old school Linkin Park. They're pushing the boundaries of how to fuse different elements together. And other sort of softer bands in that similar kind of realm, such as Paris. And we take influence from both of those bands, plus a whole slew of others. That it's just like a giant kind of like a witch in a forest, like mixing up a massive pot of some sort of musical concoction.
Nice. And and then for like melody and lyrics, what's that kind of process, of songwriting like for you guys?
It's a lot, like Scott said, when we're working with our producer, especially, Kaz is very pop influenced. So melodically, he's pretty much a genius. So Scott and I will sit there and just bounce melodies off of each other, and whatever sounds the catchiest, like we'll pitch it to Ash and Josh, we'll pitch it to everyone and think which one sticks in your head, which one can you get, stuck in your head, or easier to remember, or easier to flow with the music that we've already created. It always seems to be last. So melodically, we can put a melody there, but then lyrics always end up being very last. Lyrics are mostly Scott and I, from influence from other members of the band. But if we have a theme or idea, I guess because Scott and I have also known each other for a lot longer, experiences are like, they're always there as well. So they're easy to come off of. And that process is a lot of fun for us. So, yeah.
And are you guys banking ideas as well? Like, do you write in your phone constantly or write in a book? Like, when you get together, are you comparing ideas, or is it just kind of off the cuff? All right, now we need to write, and you're doing it kind of spontaneously?
I would say that it's definitely like we don't tend to write things down. We tend to really get as much information as we want from a song. And we'll have a playlist and reference tracks and say, all right, well, we want a verse that sounds exactly like this, has this, this, and this. And then from this song, we want the chorus and this, this, and this in the chorus. And then we're kind of mix and match as we go through that way. But, every now and again, someone might write something down, but it's mostly through just, analyzing everything else and think about what we want to create from a fusion of things.
Wow. I think that's a really cool process. If you like, the more I'm finding out about you guys, it's kind of unique. I think you're the first band to really, do it in this process that we've interviewed so far. So I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. But like, how do you guys then go and play live? Because I haven't personally seen you guys live, but now I'm very interested. Like, how does it all work?
So we actually have a fifth member of the band. And that is our SPD, which is our, holy member who, takes care of all of our backing tracks and samples, click track and everything like that. So we tend to put everything that's not us, and so that's all the layers and atmosphere into the pad. And then I play the electronic drum sounds. So I'm playing drum kit and the electronic drum sounds, sometimes a combination of the two. Yeah. And that's kind of how we've used that to make it work.
And is that hard to then take it to venues? Like, are there venues that aren't set up well for your sound, obviously, and are there more other venues that are more catered towards your sound? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was like a big thing for us when we started, because we knew that we could make it work, but we, each venue has to have the capabilities.
Yeah.
And for the most part, every gig we've played, they have. It's just, for us, the sound matters a lot. So, if the sound is not great, then our backing tracks aren't, at the right level. So it just sounds like us playing, where, we really do care about all of those little subtle layers that add up to the whole song. So, we're finding that the venues that we love are ones that really can have a nice, clear sound, where it's like a nice balance, because our main issue is that our backing track just gets drowned.
Yeah.
So we really try and work at every gig to sound check and make sure, and it's hard being like, a small band, they don't give you a lot of time to sound check.
Yeah.
And so, we do have quite a lot of things that we need to get right, but we have such a small amount of time. So, we just try our best, and for the most part, it's been quite good. But, there have been a couple of times where, our producer will be there and he's like, oh, just the backing track just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And, we want everyone to hear the songs how we created them. And that's kind of what we would like everyone to hear.
Wow. And when you're kind of looking at like playing venues, is it the room size that matters as well for you guys, or is it just to have like technical components to be able to facilitate your music? What is it both, or because I remember when we interviewed Start Your Own Cult, that was the one thing I took away from their interview, is when they were talking about room sizes and it particularly being important for their kind of music. And I think you guys have a similar sound with really high production, and I'm just wondering, have you guys noticed that as well, or is it different for you guys? What's more important, the size of the room, or just the technical abilities of the venue?
I think for us, it really is maybe, I think because the two do overlap, especially in our case. But I think that it would be the technical side.
Yeah.
Because as long as we are happy with what's being heard, the room size, but I think it does play into it. But I think, as long as there's good sound and there's a nice balance between us and the backing tracks, and I think that's really what we try and aim for. But yeah.
And like, have you guys approached like festivals or done any festivals yet as a band?
No, not yet.
No.
Yes.
No, Ali, you can take over.
I think we've definitely approached in the ways that bands do, like comps or, voting and things like that, but we haven't been able to. And we got started literally at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
So when the beginning of 2020 hit, we had one show and then boom, COVID. So we really didn't get to do as much as we absolutely wanted to, or even planned to do. I think 2020 was meant to actually be a big year for us in terms of gigs, but COVID just killed us. So not killed us. No, we're not dead. It just ruined a lot of plans. So
This is our last interview. We'll be wrapping up.
But the reason I threw that question at you guys is because the sound of your music, when you listen to it, you could just imagine it at that kind of venue. Like, I'm not saying the cute, like throwing out why aren't you guys playing Splendor or anything, but all of those local festivals and stuff like that, just where you have kind of big stages and kind of speakers to move and for your sound.
Yeah, I think it's
versatile.
Yeah. So have you guys tried to like for anything for 2022? Like, what's the ambitions?
Scott, I'm going to handball to you for this one.
All right, I just thought maybe someone else wanted to talk, but that's all right. I can take it. Look, I think release more music. Like, we really didn't want to be in the same position we were last year, which was release one song and play one show. I think that's all we could fit in. And our goal this year was really to just do more than that. That was our only goal. And whether we're going to achieve that, I'm not actually sure, because we have music ready. We have about 4 songs that are done. And in terms of done, I mean written, all the production. We just need to properly record them.
Yeah.
And they'll be ready to go. And unfortunately for us, COVID got us a second time, because like the week of the first lockdown, we had 2 weeks scheduled in the studio to get all of our stuff done. So it was a bit of a shame. And so we haven't been able to do anything much with that. So I think next year we're really hoping to just release as much music as we can and play as many shows as we can. Because even last year we almost had a gig every month for the first 6 months of last year. And we just lost all of that. So we're just hoping that once things open back up, we'll be able to continue on what we had planned to do, and just give it our best shot.
Yeah, man, like that sounds like a great plan. But also, I think like one thing for you guys that may have been fortunate for you from this lockdown is like you guys have seemed to have built a bit of a digital following, which is cool. Like on Spotify, you've got a huge amount of monthly listeners, compared to a lot of other bands in the Sydney circuit, which must be a massive feat. And also, I have to say, how long did it take to make the video that you guys put out the other day? That was really cool. Yeah, I really like that.
Geez, you want our honest opinion? It took us about 1 week.
Wow.
No, it didn't. We started this at the start of lockdown, so to be honest, it's taken about almost 3 months.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to get it right. And there were lots of bumps and lockdown and trying to figure out how we can send files to each other. So it was a lot of work, but we just thought we would focus on something a bit positive, and just celebrate the scene that we're in, because there are so many like good bands around and so much good music that was released this year. And a lot of bands were feeling this kind of, down and stuff about COVID. So we thought, what, let's focus on something a bit positive, and let's just celebrate the first 6 months of releases. And we had an absolute ball making it, and learning all their songs to recreate them
Yeah.
So it was so much fun. But yeah, it took about 3 months.
Wow, I had a look at it, and I had to watch it a couple of times because I was like, well, I could see that it wasn't, like a straightforward video, and there was little bits, and I was like, oh man, this would have taken so long to make, but it was really good, and I like that. That's what I mean. I think you guys are definitely killing it, and have used this time like productive because your socials are cool, and so is like your Spotify. So I think you've definitely kind of done well in creating an audience, which is cool. And when I asked you that festival question, you guys, like, I felt like there was a little bit of shock, but I think that's well, achievable for you guys. Like, I don't think this is, something that's out of the ballpark, especially for you in the future. Like, that'd be very exciting to see. Now,
yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say, like thank you for all that feedback, especially on that mashup. I remember, like, in the very beginning of it, creating it, just to see it evolve over those weeks from just plain guitar riffs into, when the drums got added. I remember in the very beginning thinking like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work. And then as the more layers came in, I was like, wow, this is blowing me away. And then, the last step when Ali put the vocals on top, the whole track was unrecognizable from the beginning.
Yeah. And Ali, how many times did it take you to get the vocals right, or were you just one take and it was done?
It never takes one take with me. The boys now know, and it's pretty embarrassing, whether it's vocals or even recording that video that you said. Look, vocal recording. I had the boys on Discord with me. Actually, that was a setup in itself because I had to be in my own room. I had to set up laptops and stuff. I had no internet. I think we were hotspotting from my phone, and then the boys had to link up so that they were like able to remotely view what I was seeing on the laptops, and it was a lot of effort. And then my room is not set up, like it's kind of a new place, so it's not set up for vocal recording. So like there was kind of natural reverb going on, and I at one point had to put like a sheet over myself and the mic to see if that would do, and it didn't. But you got to do what you got to do. So it did. I think it took us half a day, I reckon, maybe 6 hours, 5 hours. We take breaks, like we're healthy like that, but it does not take one take at all. And like, I'm one of those people who like, if I hear something's wrong with it, I end up swearing at myself at the very end. And they're like, if you just left it alone, we could have just tweaked it. And like, I end up mucking it up. So yeah, it's like take after take. And then the same with the video shooting. I had to do that all by myself. Scott was like, oh, she'll be fine. And I messaged him and I was like, I'm taking 3 hours. This is, it's a lot.
But at least the outcome was good.
Yeah, I remember messaging Ali being like, oh, she's like, I'm going to go do the video now. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I went and did my own thing. And like that probably was about, I don't know, like 1 o'clock or something. And it was about maybe 6 o'clock. I thought, oh, I haven't heard from Ali. So I just sent her a text like, hey, everything all good? And she's like, oh, just finished. I'm like what, 4 or 5 hours of shooting for like a 3-minute video? She's like, yep.
Yep.
Wow. But like I guess that's why it looks so polished at the end. It looked like it didn't look like a 5-minute job, that was for sure. It looked like, oh wow, there's some level of production behind this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like it was just cool. Like I was like, oh, this just kind of came out of nowhere, and then I was like, oh, watching this, and then I had to rewatch it because I was like, how did they do this? And try to reverse engineer it in my brain to make like some kind of sense out of it.
We asked those same questions.
But I feel like I've been talking for too long, and I just want to throw the mic over to Paul because
I've been trying to jump in a few times, but you've been doing well anyway. Just on your new song, Guys Don't Want Me. Was there individual ideas that were thrown together, or was it like just different ideas just thrown together and just turned into the song, like from individual aspect?
So pretty much what happened there was, I think it was Josh, our bassist, said, I want a song that has a cool riff, because up until then, all of our songs with the chorus were kind of just, chord progressions per se, without any like riffs to them. So Josh was like, hey, I reckon this would be a really cool idea. And then so Corey, at the time, our old guitarist, had this riff lying around. And then we're kind of like, well, that's cool. And then that was like the start of Don't Want Me, because we had the riff And then we pretty much built the song around that riff. And then just, layer by layer, added onto it.
Yep.
And how do you know when to stop when you start adding layer by layer and layer and layer? Like, I imagine it's a bit like painting. It's like, how do you know when to stop?
It's
Never
like,
stop.
sorry, like when because I'm not as musically inclined as the guys are, they know. So they're a lot like, do all this stuff. And they're like, Ali, what does it sound like? And I was like, yes, it sounds amazing. And then they'll add things and go, nope, take it out. And so when I watch their process, it looks a lot like they add, subtract, or move things around. So it's never looking like a full layer of paint and then take off a whole layer. It's always like tweaking from what I can see.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Like I my head's wondering, like, how do you do this without overdoing it? Which, I'm glad that you're there, Ali, like, kind stop.
I wouldn't actually know. Sometimes I say things and like, I'm like, can you hear that? And they're like,
yeah.
No, but because they've been sitting in front of it, and like I unfortunately have to work a lot during the week, and sometimes I don't get the days that they do. So sometimes I'll rock up to Scott's garage and they've been there for hours, or probably even 24 hours, and they're like, we've only heard this same thing over and over again. Listen to it. What do you hear? I'm like, what's this or what's that? And I don't think I'm as good as they probably make me sound like I am in terms of critiquing, but they're like, no, didn't hear that. All right, go again. And like, it's good fun when I'm like, oh yeah, I can be helpful-ish.
Yeah. And guys, like, do you find it when you're sitting there with a project or with an idea after a while, like you get a bit of like cabin fever with it, and it all starts to like to blend into one and becomes frustrating, or you guys kind of have the perseverance to do it?
Bit of both, actually.
Yeah.
I guess it really depends. Like if there's something that we're stuck on, which has happened before, like we can be stuck on it for 6 hours straight. And then, at that point, it's like, well, yeah, we've got to do something different. So something different of continuing is by stopping.
Yeah.
And then, weeks will go by and we'll listen to that same, piece of music again. And then all of a sudden these ideas come floating through. The latest track that we've been working on, we spent quite a bit of time on it, and we created this amazing intro, but it was only an 8-second intro, which took us all weekend. And then, like a couple of weeks went by and we came back to it and we've transformed it into an entire song. So yeah, to answer your question, both have happened to us.
And do you guys do that often? Like we'll start a project and we'll kind of get a bit like, like fed up with it for the moment. And then you kind of have a bunch of little ideas to kind of go back to and build upon.
I would probably, oh, sorry, Scott. I was just going to say, I'd say that's probably a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, we usually we push through a lot, is kind of our technique. It's kind of like, you know what, we've got this, we sit here, we do it.
Wow.
And as I said, until the point where we kind of take a break, otherwise we will sit there and we will just keep pushing through until we're happy with it.
Yeah, well, like I love the perseverance that you guys must have, like, hearing the same thing so many times. But do you also like, is there ever like moments where like you will start justifying something because it's been in the mix for so long that it becomes like bit tedious, like you fall in love with an idea just because it's been there for so long?
I'll take it then.
Oh.
I think that, that our producer and we always talk about that, you can actually listen to something too much to the point where you're almost forcing yourself to like it.
Yeah.
And so I remember we did this, it was just me and the producer, and we sat there all night and we did this crazy thing. We didn't even plan to write the song. And we wanted to experiment with something. And then the whole night we wrote this song, and we got to the end, we thought, is this even good? Like, are we just writing this because we've heard it so many times that we like it? And so of course we had to bring in our expert Ali to have a listen to it. But it was like, it's definitely a thing where you can just listen to it and you just believe that it's good. And that's why what we really get excited about is if we're writing and we write all Saturday, once we finish, say we finish at 7 o'clock, we will not listen to that song until the next day. So that, because when you first, in our band at least, we believe heavily on your first listen back to it is the most important. So after having a break all night and the next morning you come back like 11 o'clock and you play it through, that's when you're able to tell if you think it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah, I like that advice actually.
Yeah,
that's really good because it feels like it's your first time hearing a song as a first time listener. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and a little bit further to that as well, hasn't been a problem for us, but for myself, being a bit of a perfectionist in my previous lives, I've also learned to put time limits on things. So, constantly tweaking something because it's just not 100%. You can't keep doing that forever because otherwise then nothing will ever get finished. So, at some point, this is art and art is never perfect. So once it's 99% the way there, chasing that 1% for the rest of eternity can sometimes be a fruitless endeavor. Yeah,
that's for sure. That's why I referenced it back to the painting before, because I think we've all been in situations, when you try to make something and you go over the top of it. And I think like your process of putting limitations in and also distancing yourself with it is quite smart. And I hope when people are listening back to that, like other bands and stuff on the channel, like that's something that they take away from this, because otherwise I feel like it sends you mad and around the block. But what are you guys using? Like, are you recording on Pro Tools, Logic, or Ableton? Like, what's the poison for your band?
So I personally use Cubase. It's a bit handy because our producer also uses Cubase. Scott uses a combination of, I think it's Reaper and the Mac one, whatever that's called.
Logic.
And then when we go into the studio to actually record, it is also Logic, I believe.
And what's like the reason for like the other software, like for Cubase? Why is that your pick?
Because I've had Cubase for years. I have a Windows PC at home, so Logic is a bit. I don't even know if it's available on Windows. Pro Tools I've stayed away from because it's a subscription service now, and I just don't like subscriptions. Cubase is still a pay once, now you own it forever type license.
I think that's the as you said, I wish more products would be like you just pay once and you have it forever. But Ali, like what do you use to record vocals?
You mean like always?
Always, yeah.
So, the boys tell me where to go, I go and I sing. So wherever there's a mic set up and they tell me to sing into, that's where I'll be doing it. I think the process has also changed. When we did the EP, we were recording all my vocals at the Conservatorium of Music in Sydney, just using their studio. But I don't know what program, again, like Kaz and Scott were there the whole time. I'm just like, sing, Ali, and I just do it. So I have no idea what the programs are doing. I just know that I like the microphones that I like. And even then, I still have to I'm still consulting with Scott every time there's stuff to do, because I'm just not very, the boys know again, I'm not very tech savvy. So things that look good to me look really shiny, but not very good for stuff. So they're very helpful.
Oh, nice. And I think is that a good thing in a way, guys? Because then you've got Ali who's just like can come in and be like an ear to different things, and also like if you guys I don't know, like a debating amongst yourself amongst different ideas, then you always have somebody that's mutual, like a peacekeeper, I suppose.
I think we are all peacekeepers within the band, to be honest. Like we all have our respective ears and our own tastes of things that we're doing. So I think it's a really good balance where we keep each other in check pretty much all the time.
Wow, like you guys must be like really lucky in that respect. Like there's so many like when we don't be doing these interviews, you realize like the dynamic with different groups and stuff, and the like there's what would you call them, like middle people to different personalities. But it seems like you guys are got it all together, so massive props. But Paul, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, with the idea of you guys listening to the songs the next day, do you believe that each song is getting better, or like better than the previous song, or do you guys have a favorite song that you always go back to and you think this was a great piece of work?
Yeah, I'll go. I think we would like to believe that every song you create is better.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just what everyone would hope to achieve. Like you want to be getting better, understanding music better, production elements. So the more you learn, the better you become. I think we all have our individual favorite songs, but I think collectively we can probably agree that our songs are getting better over time. Like I think Don't Want Me, which is the latest available song, is the best of all of our stuff. But I think that we've really upped our game with the new stuff that we're writing and some of the things we're doing with that too.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. That's a good idea. But every song has to be better than the last, and that's the only way to push forward in life, I guess.
Do you challenge yourself with the the next song that you have? Like, are you trying, like, do you make it also like do you steer away from making it like a bit of like an intellectual challenge with pushing yourself with the next track, or you're just taking inspiration from different things and kind of developing the next lot of the next track like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we actually do try to push ourselves a little bit. I think we do a combination of the two.
Yeah.
We always try and find something that we haven't done or something we want to push the boundaries of. So we go, we love this in pop music. We really want to get this into this. And we do try and, push ourselves in that respect. But we also do think about, what can we create through everything else that we've heard and that we like. So, I think we always strive to push ourselves, but sometimes, look, it just doesn't work. We had this one idea that we really liked, and our producer just said to us, look, I just don't think this is going to work. It's just, it's too far pushing that it won't work for our situation. And which is good because, we try these things and then we just move on to the next idea.
Nice. And like, how are you when you guys like listen to a song and you're like, I love that piece, I want to include that as a verse in our track? How do you then go and actually make that happen? Like, do you kind of go to your producer, can you make it sound like that, or do you guys sit down and kind of reverse engineer whatever they're doing and do it organically like that? I don't know. How do you do it? I'm just interested to hear the strategy behind it.
Yeah, there's definitely a reverse engineering side of it, but it's not simply just us saying to him, hey Kaz, we want this in the chorus, make it happen, and he just goes and does it. He's a little bit of a teacher to us in that regard as well.
Yeah.
So he takes the time to sit down with us to go through the process of reverse engineering that section to understand what elements are doing what, and then that's when we then start to experiment, and he kind of lets us take the steering wheel, so to speak, to guide us through the reverse engineering, to guide us through the creation of our own unique piece that's similar. Even if he can see that it's not going to work, he'll still let us go through that creative process. And then, once we do reach the end of it or get far enough in, he will typically stop us and he'll say, okay, now this is what you've created and this is the reference track. Can you see where the problem is here and why it doesn't work? At which point then he then sort of takes lead and says, okay, this is how it really should be. So yeah, we definitely do reverse engineer it. It's almost like going back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like is it hard for you to like sometimes, because I mean, I imagine your producer that's kind of his full-time thing and he's immersed in it, but when you're sitting there learning and is it hard to get your head around, or is it easy for for you guys to kind of get your head around what he's doing and be a student of his discipline, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I mean, being the newest member of the band, the first time that we went and sat down, I think my head exploded after about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then the very next day, I was just so mentally exhausted, I wasn't any good to anybody. But now, understanding his process and, talking with him on Facebook and, really kind of doing as much as I can by myself to sort of understand his procedure, it's definitely becoming a lot easier. And I'm starting to draw parallels and, see what he sees, even though, to him, I think music is a bit like the Matrix, where you see that guy sitting in front of the code and he just knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's our producer, whilst we're sitting there looking at it going, wait, what is this? And got to always hit Google for it.
Yeah, like when I asked that, I didn't know where that was going to go, because I thought if you guys are sitting there understanding everything that he's doing and that's his discipline, I was going to be like, oh wow, But I'm kind of happy that was the answer, because there's something very really like human to your answer. And I would have been scared if you did understand everything he said, because then you would be the real Tony Stark of music.
No, only the Tony Stark of the physical tech side of things.
Yes.
And has that come in like that's a massive asset of you being in the band, I suppose. Like that's something you can bring to bring to the band. And I suppose you've mentioned that you have been doing that over this lockdown stuff. But like for you, Scott, like how have you learned a lot about like tech from having from just having somebody that's so savvy in the band?
Yeah, and I think it worked really well because Corey was this, like, he had that same level of tech. So when we lost Corey, we really needed someone who could fill that role. And we were just so lucky that Ash had everything, and it's been a great blessing to learn these things, because we just, whenever there's an issue, we go, hey, Ash, go solve this. Can you fix this? Can you make this better? And it is an amazing asset. And, I have learned a lot because, it's just little things. You go, oh, maybe I can do that next time. Yeah. But it really has been such a great asset. And he filled the role really well, and everything that we need, he had, that we could continue to move this band forward.
Wow. Like I think that's something that is an asset to your band. And also just I feel like when we do this as well and speak to other bands, there's a lot of not everyone, but a lot of different people that aren't quite as tech savvy. And I think that's something that you guys have got down. And you can hear it in your your music, your productions on a another level. So yeah. Now I'm going to throw the mic to Paul, because I've gone down my little avenue of questions.
Yeah, I was just, before to talk about how Ash is in IT, does the IT, and I'm just going to question, if because of music is like a big impact in your lives, if you weren't musicians, what would you guys be doing instead?
I mean, for me, it'd be still some sort of IT thing. Anything with technology and like big scale technology. That's where I'd be, for sure.
I'll go next then. So I actually am a high school music teacher. And so, I love doing that. And I think, that is what I would be doing and continue doing, because it's nice to see, the kids and help, feed music passion to other people.
So I'm actually a full-time, I work for an orthodontist.
Yeah.
So I'm just his treatment coordinator. I've been there since out of high school. So it's actually what I keep doing just so that I can fund my music.
Yeah.
So that eventually I can do it and that can be the only thing I do. Unfortunately, that is not the case. I have to, I guess, like all of us do, we have individual responsibilities, and I need to be able to put a roof over. I moved out when I was 18 too, so I needed a full-time job. I needed to be able to do everything I needed to do. So I've just been on the grind ever since. And then when Scott, I think it was 2016, said, let's make a band, I was like, okay, down. But I think it was like practice every week, write some songs. And then I didn't realize how far we'd even go as a band back then with Scott and Corey. And for it to take on how it did was just shocking to me. I still pinch myself. It's pretty amazing. Like and to make such great friends, like I really miss these guys, especially during COVID. It's really hit me. Like it's so upsetting to not be able to see them weekly. And
yeah,
it's just what you're gonna do. But I don't do music full time, and I'd love to. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that is because for the fans, that it's always good to see the other side of people, especially members of the band. It must also suck rescheduling a lot of gigs as well, because I saw you guys had to reschedule one recently. Do you guys have any plans for gigs after lockdown?
As many as possible. Yeah, that gig that we had to reschedule recently, I think that's the second time it's been rescheduled, maybe the third, I'm not sure, because these lockdowns just keep rolling on, and you know, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but where that tunnel finishes, we're not sure. We're currently trying to schedule it again, but there's no date hard set yet.
Well, you know what they say, third time's the charm. So, fingers crossed. And while we're talking about like venues and stuff, where do you want to play? Like, where's the venue for each of you guys that you're like, okay, that's on the bucket list for let's just say for Sydney. Where would you like to play?
Oh, Scott, you'll have to take over because I don't have a venue in Sydney.
Great.
I think Crowbar would be cool. We haven't got to play that yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's probably all on our bucket list because we kind of love that venue and think that venue would do what we need to do, both like we talked earlier about the technical side. So we'd love to see how we sound. Not that that's egotistical, but with everything in that venue.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Crowbar Sydney would be awesome actually. But my pick was actually going to be Fortitude Music Hall in Brisbane.
Why is that? Are you originally like from a Queenslander or just been there before and love it?
No, I mean before joining 51st Avenue, I lived in Brisbane for a few years.
Yeah.
And it opened just before, or for like 6 months before I left. So to be able to play that, and the venue looks so great. I just love to play there. It looks great.
Cool, man. And Ali, what's your venue of choice in Sydney?
It's a good question. I would have gone Crowbar as well. I didn't even think about anything until Scott said it, but I think that would be incredible. We went to see the Save Crowbar fundraiser. That was incredible. That was the first time we had been there, and we had heard about it. Everyone was talking about it, and once we were actually there in front of that stage, and that whole night was an incredible night for us. We were like, yeah, we need to be here. Like that's pretty awesome.
Cool. I think you guys could definitely like do it. You suit the sound. I'm surprised hearing this that you haven't, but and then is there any like, we throw this question out to everybody, but is there any like venue that if you could play, if a genie popped out of a bottle and was like, hey, you can play any venue you want, which one do you want to have? Which one would you have, like all over the world?
So Madison Square Garden. But that was big, wasn't it? Sorry, Like I was thinking, hey, New York guys, like.
Well, like a couple of the bands that we've asked this question were like Wembley. That's us. We're going there.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I can see the clogs in Ash's head right now.
I'm just trying to think of something that no one's done before. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
You know, the reality is I'm trying to think of how can I top Metallica's gig that was in Antarctica. You know, what could be more wild than that?
Yeah.
But I can't think of one, to be honest.
Oh man, like you could take the Pink Floyd route and start playing like, you know, Pompeii or, you know, places like that. I don't know. I don't have anyone.
Space Station.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, just talk to, you know, give Elon a ring and ask if he can send you up in a rocket.
That's the one.
This is really off topic, guys, but have you seen there's a video that came out a while ago of one of the astronauts who was up at the space station, like recorded Space Odyssey?
I did see that. He was recording himself play guitar as well.
Yeah, and it just looked so bizarre. I can't hold it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that, and I actually it reminded me of when Mastodon released one of their latest albums, and their lead guitarist was talking about all of his solos that he was recording inside the moon, and just a whole bunch of comical stuff that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, look, I think with like all, you know, people like Jeff Bezos and, you know, Elon making a thing, I reckon in our lifetime we'll see, you know, some famous band go up to space and definitely do that. I think it's just a matter of time at the moment. But yeah, guys, I think like what advice would you have for, like, you know, if you could give advice to yourself starting a band, and what would you go back and tell yourself at the start?
Personally, I would just tell myself to, I tell myself it already, but I'd just reinforce it, you know, do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. Don't do it for fame or money or anything like that. Do it because you want to do it.
I think that's really good, humble advice.
I don't like people. So if you're going to be in a band and you don't like people, make sure those people in the band are people you absolutely love. I adore these guys. They take care of me all the time. And I think if I didn't have people in the band that I didn't get along with or had fun with and just were genuinely awesome people, I would struggle. So like if the band thing, like, if you want to pursue being in a band, that's for sure one of them, and have fun. Like it's so much fun. Every time we exert ourselves for weekends or days on end, I still have the most fun doing it. So it's not a problem. I get tired and I fall asleep sometimes, but I still have a lot of fun with them. So yeah, do it for the fun and do it for you. I agree with Ash. Yeah, do it for you.
Nice. And Scott?
Yeah, I think I agree with that statement completely. And I think that's why, you know, we all get along, is because we do have so much fun doing this. And if it wasn't fun, you would kind of burn out a lot quicker. Because, you know, these things are tiring, they are exhausting, they take a lot out of you. But, you know, as Ali said, you're doing it with people that you actually have so much fun with. You know, when we go to write music, we actually look forward to it, because, you know, it's a whole weekend of us just being together in a room, you know, and we have a great time. You know, it is incredibly exhausting, and you just, you know, you go, oh, I don't want to listen to any more music or do anything, or it's so hard to get this song done. But we enjoy the whole process and every step of the way. So it would be the advice to, you know, do it because you actually do enjoy what you're doing, and the people for the social side of it all.
I think you've all given, you know, great advice and reinforced each of your advice. And I also think like that's a great, you know, place to, like, you know, wrap this video up. But before we do, Paul, have you got any like last questions before we, you know, wrap this one up?
Not really, but I just like the advice you guys give, because you're sharing the world with your sound and your style. I reckon that was good advice. That's probably the first time I heard that type of advice as well. Because other advice was like, oh, you know, work hard, this and that. But you guys have that love and that support within each other, which is good. it's like a family you guys are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And one last question, guys. What should people go check out of yours, or what should they, what would you guys like to, plug or promote it?
Oh, Scott, handball.
Nah, a handball. Ali, you can take this last one.
Oh, everything and anything that we've got out there, go and check it out. Look, check out us, watch our space anyway, because new stuff will be coming around. We just, like Ash said, we still don't know where the end of the tunnel is, but Don't Want Me is still my, I always refer to it as my baby or our baby, but because again, we're just so proud of it, and the kind of traction, like you guys have said, it's been getting lately is just astounding. So if people haven't already checked that out, they can. But all of our old stuff, our EP, our single from before that, they like you said, it's a credit to the guys, a credit to us for, putting out stuff that we just worked so incredibly hard to do and loved doing it. So a bit of everything. The music video, so much fun to make. So check out the music video for Don't Want Me as well if you haven't already. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't, check out our Facebook page, like us on Instagram. We are at 51st Avenue AUS. We've got some merch coming out shortly. It'll be brand new for us with our brand new logo.
Yeah.
And watch this space. It'll all be happening in the next couple of months.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming on, and everybody, 51st Avenue, go check out all of their stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.